Hey, Michael Matt here. You tired of those annoying ads cluttering up our YouTube videos? We are too. Start watching our show at the totally ads-free remnant-tv.com. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Michael Matt. This is the Remnant Underground. Great to be back stateside. I'm not going to say a whole lot about the Sharp Pilgrimage. We did so much coverage of that over the time that we were actually walking it. Other than, as I said, as I promised when we left, I want to assure you, I know things are really dark and scary and seemingly bleak. Well, no, they are bleak in the world right now, but this thing is just such a huge success, More than 20,000 Catholics. They're not online, friends. They're not on Zoom. They're not running their mouths on YouTube, but they're in the real world now, okay? Take this to heart. Real world, families, young people, mostly young, average age 20, keeping the faith, worshiping God, celebrating the Christian family, loving the Latin Mass, It's so funny because we talk a lot about uniting the clans, and all these critics on YouTube, the guys with the gigantic microphones, and they create this straw man, this paper thing, this image of traditional Catholics that they want the world to believe is the reality. Now, they never come to us. People have been at it for 30, 40 years. They just find like little upstarts here and there who maybe are angry about this, or some priest who's ticked at his bishop and calling him by his first name or whatever, and they say, look at those traditional Catholics, they're so mean, they're so nasty. This is not us, friends. This is not the majority of traditional Catholics, most of whom would like very much to just drop the whole traditional thing and just be Catholics, which is what we are. We've just accepted the faith as it was handed down to us. We're handing it down to our kids. That's it. So we got these critics out there that say, these tradies, these rad trads, they're so angry. There's no joy there. I know this guy who knew another guy who went to a trad mass, and he felt very unwelcome. Very unwelcome. Oh, okay, I'm sorry that happened to the friend of the guy or the other guy and the other guy, but I don't see this on a daily basis. I just don't. And then they say, and the traditionalists are getting ready to leave the church. There's this guy over in Ireland. They're going to leave the church, I tell you. They're looking so mean at Francis, and they're going to leave the... Who's leaving the church? Nobody's leaving the church in the traditional Catholic mainstream. Where do these dingbats with the huge microphone, where do they get this stuff, I just came back from France. I don't want to drop names, but I think I should just share this with you. A wonderful little lunch, 4 or 5 of us had lunch with the Bishop of Chartres, Bishop Philippe Christori. We're in his home as his guests with his other guest, Archbishop Gullickson, who right after the Archbishop had offered the most high-profile traditional Latin Mass in the world this year, right? Having lunch with these guys. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of that lunch, other than to say, please accept my word for it before God, how encouraging it was to have this conversation with these 2 bishops, one of whom was really not a traditional Catholic, but we want to have a conversation, And we have an obligation as traditional Catholics, I think, to go into a situation like that with the common good of the whole church in mind. So guess what? When I went into the bishop's residence in Chartres, I didn't call him a gutless coward for not saying the Latin Mass, for not doing it like it is. I went in with respect, and we had a conversation, and we thanked him for allowing his high-profile cathedral, the most famous cathedral in the world, to be used for the largest and highest profile traditional Latin Mass in the world, and to send a statement to the whole world, including the Vatican, that traditional Catholicism is on the move. And so we're not leaving the church, Mr. Irish guy with the giant microphone, or whoever you are, taking these pot shots at traditionalists because you happen to have encountered some 5-year-old who's been a traditionalist for 5 minutes, and you've decided to crown him the leader of the traditional Catholic movement because he says stupid things, right? That's not good journalism. We don't do that over here. And it's just an absolutely ridiculous straw man that they're setting up, mostly by former neo-Catholics who crashed and burned somewhere along the line with that whole crazy novelty, and they got an axe to grind against us. You see, friends, the thing is, traditional Catholicism is the future of the Catholic Church. Period. And how do I know that? Well, I just saw it in action. Oh man, let me tell you, well, you weren't there this year. You had something pretty big in your life going on that we're going to talk about next week, Walter, involving a baby. But when I saw that particular point, I think it was day 1 or day 2, and I was just wiped out, you know. And then I see these little scouts from Riamone doing that, you know, just hundreds of them midday. This is traditional Catholicism, friend. This is traditional Catholicism in the real world, as is this. Young priests, hundreds of them. Do you see any old guys in this? Do you see any guys with white hair here? No. It's literally, friends, the future of the church. And it is full of joy. It is full of charity. It has no intention of leaving Mother Church. Where would we go? Where would any of these men go? Underground, by themselves, set up shop on their own? No, we're going to stay in the church and we're going to fight. You see the future? Again, you're looking right at it. For the first time ever, I've been doing it for 30 years. First time ever, the Sharp Pilgrimage sells out, right? Sold out. They had to stop taking registrations. And nearly every flag in that pilgrimage, and there are hundreds, has the Sacred Heart of Jesus emblazoned on it. There are signs everywhere. There's every reason to stay engaged. And the more the enemy gets freaked out and furious and nasty and mean and hateful, the more you know we're making progress. You know, and by we, I'm talking about us in league with the Church Triumphant. I just got back from La Salette in France, up in the French Alps. Climbed a mountaintop. The remnant group made a consecration, right, to Our Lady and to our Lord, written by Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano. This group promised up on the mountaintop, on their knees, promised to stay and fight for the church. They're not leaving the church. And why did they promise to stay and fight for the church? Because Our Lady of La Salette said, "Stay faithful to me, children of light, and I will fight for you." She said, "I call upon my children, my true devotees, those who have given themselves to me, so that I may guide them to my divine Son. Go and show yourselves as my dear children. Fight, children of light, you, the small number who can see. For behold, the time of times, the end of ends. But I will fight with you. I will fight for you." Did you see that little flag that we brought up the mountain? The story on that is quick. Just moments before we climbed that little mountain top, a man I have never met, a man from Ireland, he walked up to me and he gave me that flag. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. No, I'm not into signs and wonders. That's not my thing. But I'm not stupid either. And I can see the sign. I can see the handwriting on the wall. God is making it clear. We're at a desperate point in the history of the world right now. Desperate point. Hell is making advances, but God is also making it clear what we need to do, right? You just look around you and you can see what you need to do. All for thee, O Sacred Heart of Jesus, in the month of June. That's where it starts, woke mob. Come and get me. Go ahead and try to cancel me. You know what June is? June is the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And then to all of us, hold the Catholic ground, friends. Hold on to your beliefs. Hold on to your traditions. Keep the old faith. Yes, unite the clans. Stand with Jesus Christ. Because everything else, friends, is fake and gay. Which is why everything else can go back to hell where it came from.